Hi everyone. Today we're going to discuss the ins and outs of the liabilities section of a Farm Bureau auto policy. An auto policy consists of three branches: liabilities, medical and more, and physical damages to the vehicles. Today we will be focusing on the liabilities branch. Liabilities are third-party losses that you are responsible to cover. A Farm Bureau auto policy has the following coverages: bodily injury liability, property damage liability, limited property damage liability, and property protection insurance. In this video, we will break down each of these four types of liability coverages. Let's begin with bodily injury liability. First, let's define bodily injury. Bodily injury is damage caused to a person's physical condition. This means that bodily injury liability is the third-party losses that you can be sued for related to health and well-being. These include accidental death, disfigurement, loss of bodily function, loss of wages, pain and suffering, medical expenses in excess of what the other driver may have. Please note that if the total loss exceeds the limit of your coverage, you could be made to pay the difference. Your auto policy has coverage designed to protect you from these liabilities if you are being sued. On a Farm Bureau auto policy, bodily injury liability coverage is notated like so. This means that in the event of an at-fault accident, you would receive coverage up to $250,000 per person, with no more than $500,000 total for the accident. Now, let's review a scenario to help you better understand how this works. You cause an accident, and you are being sued for the other party's loss of wages as well as their pain and suffering. The other vehicle contains the driver and one passenger. The driver has losses of $100,000 and the passenger's losses total $300,000. Your bodily injury liability coverage is $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident. Now let's run through some numbers. Starting with the driver, you are being sued for $100,000 for bodily injury. According to your policy, you have a per-person coverage limit of $250,000. Your liability is less than the limit, so the full $100,000 would be covered by Farm Bureau insurance, and you would have no out-of-pocket costs. So far, $100,000 worth of coverage has been applied towards your $500,000 per accident limit. Now, let's move on to the passenger who is suing you for $300,000 of their personal bodily injury. In this situation, their loss is greater than the per-person coverage limit by $50,000. This means that the limit of $250,000 would apply. However, you could have out-of-pocket costs of $50,000. Your cumulative coverage received would be $350,000, which is less than the per accident limit of $500,000. So, if there had been a third person in the vehicle, $150,000 would have still been available to cover any bodily injury liability that they may be suing you for. So now the big question is, how much coverage do you need? A good rule of thumb is to have enough to protect your net worth. You can calculate your net worth by taking your total assets and subtracting your liabilities. Now, let's revisit our list of liabilities and discuss property damage liabilities and property protection insurance. These two coverages are very similar, yet have some distinct differences. Property protection insurance is coverage for damage caused by the insured's auto to the property of others, regardless of fault. This coverage does not apply out of the state of Michigan. The money is used to pay for damage to buildings, guardrails, fences, posts, parked vehicles in some cases, etc. Property damage liability is coverage for damage caused by the insured's auto to the property of others outside of the state of Michigan. So essentially, these two coverages serve the same purpose. However, one applies inside the state of Michigan and the other applies outside of the state of Michigan. Now, let's discuss the amount of coverage you should have for each of these. For property protection insurance, the state of Michigan requires by law that you have at least $1 million of coverage. For property damage liability, a minimum of $100,000 is recommended. In some states, you can be held responsible to cover the cost of the other party's vehicle, which can be very costly. $1 million of coverage is highly suggested, as it should cover all costs in nearly every situation, and the additional coverage is also inexpensive. So, that about wraps up property protection insurance and property damage liability. Now, let's finish up with limited property damage liability coverage. Limited property damage liability is also known as the mini tort law. The coverage in the auto policy provides protection if the insured is sued and found substantially at fault for damage to other autos. The damage to other autos must arise out of an occurrence within the state of Michigan and is limited to a maximum amount of $3,000. The term substantially at fault is defined as being more than 50% responsible for the accident. And that about sums up the liability section of a Farm Bureau auto policy. If you have any questions, call your agent today and they'd be happy to assist you. Thank you for watching. I hope that this video was helpful. Visit our YouTube channel at Berg Insurance Services for more tips and tricks to navigate the insurance world. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos so that we can continue to provide you with more helpful content.